started dating the end of July.
July 31st.
July 31st. Yeah. And we got engaged December 24th of last year. So about almost 5 months.
5 months dating. And how long engaged?
And then we got married in July, so about 7 months.
7 months. Okay, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think about that? Like, that, honestly, a lot of those kind of more surface level things that people avoid, like, we got through that in the first 3 weeks of dating almost.
Well, and I think the biggest part was when Michael called me and he said, "You're somebody I could see myself spending the rest of my life with." Like, from the before the beginning, he had like said, you know, this is my intent with this like possible relationship. So it was like instead of dating and waiting to bring that up, like, you know, 6 months into dating, we had already figured that out. Like, we were already on the same page.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another Stories with Richi, and today we have two special guests. They are Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Welcome, guys.
Schmidt.
Thank you. How are you guys? Smith. I am. My English is my second language.
You're good.
How are you guys doing today?
Good. Yeah.
Well, you guys are the first couple here at Stories with Richi, and we like to know about you guys' journey dating, and if you guys have some tips for us. And you know, a lot of people are planning to get engaged, and we just want to hear how it's been your experience, and we want to learn from it. So,
Yeah. Well, where do we start?
okay, who are you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a photographer, videographer, content creator, whatever else. And I was doing some photo shoots for my mom's personal care, healthy, organic face cream company kind of thing, and just working with different people. I did some shoots with you. I did some shoots with some other people, and I reached out to Taylor Beasley, who dated my roommate a few years ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, like, you want to go do a shoot or something like that? And then she was like, yeah. And then she reached out to Allie, who was her friend at the time, and was like, hey, come on.
Yeah,
join
she basically just wanted me to be a moral support.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't in any of the photos, but she didn't want to go by herself. And so she was like, hey, you want to come with me? And I was like, yeah, sure, sounds fun. So
Yeah, it was a good time. And just, like, trying to capture, like, people being healthy, happy, and kind of excellent or elegant kind of thing. So, yeah, it was a super fun time. And, yeah, I mean, Allie was awesome. And I was like, whoa, she's super cool. But, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to, like, shoot this. Because at the time I was working I moved back home after the pandemic started. And like, what should I do? And my brother and my mom were like, oh, just go get a job. And this is the night shift thing. And I was like, what? Why am I doing night shift? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, at the time I was trying to train to go to the Olympic trials. And I was like, what? I'm going to go from doing that to, like, taking care of my body and all that to working night shift, not sleeping, we're in a warehouse where it's dusty and stuff. And so, yeah, I ended up getting promoted through that and got worked through that scenario to the point where I could do these different photo shoots and pay people and start building this brand kind of thing. And so that was a really exciting time. And then, so we did that photo shoot in August.
with Taylor?
Yeah, August or September.
It was like October.
Oh, okay. October. And then I kept doing shoots and stuff. And then I was looking for someone else to do a shoot with. And this is in May. And I was like, oh, like, Allie Tao, she's super cool. Like, and I literally lived in the same hall as her brother. My younger brother competed against her younger brother. And so I knew her family, but I didn't know she existed. Kind of, even up to that point, I was like, I didn't even know the connection was there. And then, yeah. And so I was like, hey, you want to go do a shoot? And then she was like, oh yeah, that'd be super fun. And then Taylor, who's in the other shoot, came along as well. And we just had a good time. And my buddy Micah showed up. And
It was right before school ended. Or no, it was after school.
It was right after, yeah.
After school ended. So Taylor was still sticking around because she hadn't gone back to California yet, And I think originally it was just going to be me. And then I was like, oh, well, Taylor's still here because I didn't really want to go by myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, me and Taylor could both come. He's like, oh, yeah, that would be great. So we made a day trip out of it and went up to Battleground and hung out with Michael and Micah.
And my mom was there, and my brother and Valerie and Evan came and hung out too. So yeah, we just like hang out when we do these shoots and stuff, and eat some good food, play a bunch of music, like and it's just a good time. So we did that, and then I was continuing to do photo shoots, and I had a good time. Like I told Mike, I was like, well, like that was a really good time. Like that was, and he was like, yeah, that was like, those people were really cool. And I was like, yeah, they were. And then Valerie, my sister, texted me after the shoot, and she was like, what are you, like, blonde or brunettes? And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? Come on. Okay. So that was fun. I was like, brunettes, what are you talking about?
She was asking what, if you liked me or Taylor?
Probably, yeah. So yeah, and then we
on our drive home, I know Taylor had said something like, oh, like, what do you think about Michael? And I wasn't really like in the mindset of pursuing anything, but I also wasn't against it either. But I just like didn't really occur to me at that point in time to like, oh yeah, Michael, he's a really cool guy. So anyways, that I had made a comment on the way home, like, oh, like, yeah, he's really cute, and it was really fun hanging out with him. So anyways.
Wow.
Yeah. And then so that was in May, and then in July, so we had talked about doing another shoot, and then I did some other shoots, and then in July we were like, hey, like there's a place, there's a Pure Space. They rent out different really unique locations and stuff. So there's this really cool mansion in Portland that I was gonna rent out, and we were gonna go do a shoot in. And then COVID, they like shut it down because of COVID, and I was like, come on, that was gonna be so fun. And so we already planned out the shoot, and I already ordered some like rentals and stuff, and we already planned it out. And so I was like, well, my family has like a studio at our house or whatever, so you could just come up and we could shoot there and do some different kind of content there and everything. And she was like, okay. And she was all the way in Sweet Home, which is like 3 hours away, which is a super long drive. And she's like, oh no, it's not. But I'm like, wow, that was one of the things where I was like, wow, okay, she drove all this way, and I guess we'll continue with the story.
That means something.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael was also paying me.
Okay.
To be in this shoot.
Yeah, but at the time, I wasn't like, oh, I want to pursue a relationship with this gal. I was like, oh, she's just really fun to make content with, and just a great person to be around, kind of thing. Okay. So
the reason I say that though is because he always makes a big deal about me driving up.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, it was so far you drive. I was like, okay, well, I was making money though.
Okay.
So
okay.
I wanted
there was
to
a
drive
business
up.
first.
Yeah.
But I also, even the photo shoot with Taylor, the very first one that we did down by the softball field, just down here. I just being around like Michael and Steven, his younger brother, was there, and his mom Lisa was there. It was just like really, really easy to just like talk to them and be myself. Not that I have a problem being myself, because I don't really, but it was just super easy. Like they were just super, super nice people. They prayed before we did the photo shoot. I was like, wow, these are really cool people. So I never was like, oh, like I'm nervous, like I don't want to go shoot with Michael. It was like, no, like it's really fun hanging out with them. And even the shoot that day that I had gone up, like I wasn't driving up, I wasn't nervous. I was really excited. I was like, this is really cool. Like I can help these people get some cool content, promote their brand. So So it was a good time. And what time did we start? You got there like 3 or 4 or something, like, because traffic, and then you were there till like 11, and we were like taking photos the whole time. And then Steven, my mom made all these like goat cheese crackers and stuff, and we were taking photos. There was like 2 full trays of these crackers and goat cheese.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Allie and I are going and taking photos and just moving on and getting all the different stuff.
And I was so excited to try these crackers and goat cheese.
And then she looks over.
We'd come back in the studio and they were all gone.
Wow.
All of them. And Steven was just there, like licking his lips. Like, all that stuff. Like, did you eat all those? He's like, yeah. And then I think Michael made him go get some more.
I was like, go get some more. What are you doing? So he went and made a bunch, but yeah, that's good. But yeah, and then we were just talking, having a good time, and then I was like, hey, like, you want to do it again sometime? And she's like, yeah. And then so she left, but yeah, over the next like
But
few hours.
that's kind of how it went. We went over some of the photos that Michael
Okay.
had taken, and we sat on the couch. We're like, oh,
Okay.
these are really nice. And Michael came and sat next to me, and anyways, I didn't really want to leave. I was having a lot of fun.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so it's good. But it was like 11 o'clock, so I was like, okay. Like, that's cool. We gotta get you on the road, girl. You're gonna be up to like 2 or whatever. So yeah, she drove home, and then yeah, it was like 6 hours of driving. And so, you know, I'd done a lot of photo shoots at this point where I was filming with people and taking photos and stuff. And you know, people in the beginning they're like, oh, excited, but then they get tired at some point because it's their first or second or third shoot, and they're like, wow, this is like not like a. It is a fun thing, but it's like it can be very tiring. And there's a reason why models get paid a lot of money because you have to look happy, or you have to
Yes.
be very intentional about how you're posing your body, and it's not just a simple, easy like, hey, okay. No, it's like doing that for like an hour or 3 hours kind of thing. Like you're gonna get tired. So, so yeah, but like the whole time, like she was just having a good time. I was enjoying being around her, and at the time I was working, you know, in the warehouse managing people, and I was interacting with a lot of people that were just kind of depressed, that were just, you know. You could kind of have a friendship with them, but then like one day, then they'd just be like, all of a sudden just flip, and you're like, oh, okay, this is totally random. So just like to be in the same space, and just interacting with somebody who was just positive and funny, and was like laughing with me, and just we were. I don't know. It was just really special, and I was like, wow, okay, like this is a really unique person, and I really enjoy spending time with them. So, I was watching some different videos on just on people inspiring men to go be intentional with their lives and stuff. And so I I texted her and was like, hey, can we talk tomorrow, or no, what, the next day I texted her and I was like, hey, can I call you later or whatever? And she was like, okay, yeah, we can do that. And then I was like, what time? And you're like, oh, like I'm on a hike right now, so I'll let you know when I get back, or something like that. And then yeah, so So I was waiting for you to get back, and then like, yeah, and then you texted me, and you're like, oh yeah, you can call me now, whatever.
I think in the time that I had texted you, and then you had something going on, so you're like, I'd fallen asleep, but because I was really tired from, I can't remember what it was, but I had set my alarm, or no, I put my phone on ringer so I knew when Michael was calling me. Anyways, I'd fallen asleep, my phone rings, and I was like, oh, you know, I'm trying to like gather myself. Hello?
Funny.
So yeah, so with interviews, I had an interview that was successful. You know, normally these interviews take 20, 30 minutes for that job that I got that was like managing the distribution center, managing like 40 or 50 associates kind of thing. And in the months leading up to that, my brother was like calling me and like giving me tips, and we were just going through like mock interviews and stuff. But then I would also like go and just sit by myself and like repeat my answers and stuff so that I could be in the moment and be intentional and kind of read how the person was interacting, how the person was moving this way and that, and receiving my words. And so actually before I called her, I was like, okay, what do I want to say to this woman? Like, I enjoy the time with her. Like, obviously I don't even know her. Like, we've hung out like twice. We didn't even hung out. We were doing stuff. But I think in some ways, like,
we spent a lot
getting
of time
to know
together,
someone,
like,
yeah.
We spent several hours together.
Yeah, and like getting to know someone through working together, like what we're doing is like it's fun, but it's also work. But it's like working together on a project toward a specific goal. Like that's a really unique way to meet somebody, and I'm really glad that we met each other in that way, because it wasn't like, you know, oh, let's go on a date and like let's talk, and like no, like we were seeing how each other operates when we are trying to get something done, when we're in a moment of focus, in a moment of stress potentially, where we have to deal with these things, like Steven, like eating all the crackers because he can do that. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat all these crackers because I can do that because it's good. And it was like, oh, like I could have been more upset, but I was like, oh, bro, come on. Or like, I don't know, and maybe I could have handled it better, I don't know, but
that moment was also really funny because I didn't know Steven either. I didn't really know any of you guys, but I don't know, I just felt like I was just like making jokes and being myself, and it's like, Steven, like I was gonna eat some of this, like I can't believe you just ate all of it. He's like, oh, sorry. And I don't know, we talked about this too, but when we were doing the photo shoot up there, Michael would have to take a bunch of like test shots, right? So like make sure the lighting is right and stuff, and I would just like make silly faces or like we had one of the face creams that they were that we were promoting or whatever, and I would like throw it in the air. I put it in a wine glass at one point. It was just being silly. I don't know.
So yeah, I guess we're both middle children, so
Yeah.
being ridiculous and silly.
That's
like,
good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
I wonder, how did you guys know? How do you guys figure out that you guys were the right person for each other?
Well,
'Cause
that goes right in the next part of the story. So
Okay.
so I called her and I was like, "Hey, I see you as someone I could spend the rest of my life with, but I don't know you that well, and I want to get to know you more. Like, is that something you want to do?" And I was like, man, like
You said that?
I said a
said
lot of
that.
other stuff too, but I was like, hey, like, even if you're not interested, like, I just think you're an awesome person. I'd love to just like be your friend. Like, even if you're not interested in dating or anything like that, like that's fine. I'll just forget about that. But like, you're an awesome person. I want to be your friend. I want to spend more time with you, kind of thing.
What was her response?
So then after I said all that, then I was like, if you want to go hang out sometime, like do a photo shoot or a date or something like that.
said-
What?
You said, "What do you think?" Okay. So he gives me this whole lecture, and granted, like, I appreciate like the straightforwardness because I don't know, especially in today's culture, like you have so many like casual dating and like, you know,
Like, we'll see what happens.
yeah.
Well, and like,
And it's
we'll
like,
see what
oh,
happens. I don't know if I like you.
Yeah.
And
Or
it's
I,
like-
I don't want to commit to anything right now. And it's like, I remember thinking like, I don't know, a year before or like around the time that we met, kind of, I remember thinking like, okay, like if I find somebody that I want to spend the rest of my life with, like, I think I'm like ready to get married. Like, I remember thinking that. And, anyways, so yeah, he'd given me this whole spiel, and I appreciated it, but also like I didn't know Michael that well, and so I was like, is he really saying this right now? I'm like, how the heck am I going to respond when he gets done talking? What the heck am I going to say? And so, and part of me, I had, when he texted me and he was like, hey, like I want to talk, I assumed what he was going to say was going to be something along the lines of like, oh, like we should go out or something, because the night before was like, it was really fun, and we were both, not like flirting, but kind of flirting. So anyways, but yeah, so he gets done saying all of this, and he goes, and I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna say yes. Like if you ask me out, I'm gonna say yes. But he gets done talking, he's like, so what do you think? And I was like,
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say. I just planned on saying yes. I was gonna be like, yes, sounds good. And that was gonna be it. But now he's like, all right, so I just put my whole self out there. What do you think? I was not prepared for this. So.
But yeah, and I heard that. I was like, oh, that's classic. And I was like, well, like if you, I just like, I didn't even say anything. I was just like, oh, that's classic. That's a great response. And I was like, well, okay, like we don't need to worry about this or that. Like,
And I was like, no,
if you want to go hang out,
I definitely want to hang out. Like I mean, we were on the same page. I was expecting to say yes, not oh, I want to spend the rest of my life.
you were
with
expecting
you too.
a yes or no instead of a text box to fill in.
Yeah.
So after that, I assume you guys started dating.
We went and did a photo shoot and just like walked around a place outside of Salem, really nice like wildlife refuge, and just talked about a lot of stuff. And then I think we went on 2 more dates. And so I was working up there and she was living in Sweet Home, and so we were just talking on the phone and texting a bunch kind of thing. And then like on the weekend we'd go hang out in Salem because it's like an hour away from both of us. And so yeah, we literally would just walk, like I think we went on like 3 dates on the weekend, but we were talking like for hours and hours throughout the weeks kind of thing. But we just would walk and talk about just life and whatever else, like just what we thought. And there were just some different moments where I remember we were walking behind the beach courts, and we were just talking about like men, what their role is, and kind of what women should be doing and different things like that. And I was just like, whoa, like you think that? Like you think that? That's what I think. I don't have to like try and convince you of that. Like, whoa, that's crazy. So there were already a lot of things that were like aligned, and already some perspective things that were like, wow, like. And later on when we dated and later got engaged, there were other things that was like, wow, like God literally planned this, because there were these different things that, like, wow, we fit each other, and we help each other with our different needs and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that intention in the beginning, and then just being able to talk and just kind of like feel out where we're at and where our mindsets are, and different things. And I don't know, I think like I had a vision for like where I wanted to go and kind of things, and as far as like building something, and so that allowed for there to be like less of like, oh, well, what is this guy like, does he have a mindset? But I'm like, oh, like this is what I'm doing, and like this is I'm working right now so I can make money and do these different things. It's a very clear like what my life looks like and what a life that you would jump into looks like. And so I don't know, in my mind I feel like that made it easier for things to align than if I was just like, I'm just working right now, just really trying to build.
So you had a purpose.
Like very clear, and I shared that with her, and I shared why I wanted to go do those things. I shared why I wanted to spend the next 10, 15 years doing these different things. So, yeah.
So for how long do you guys dated?
We started dating the end of July.
July 31st.
July 31st.
Yeah.
And we got engaged December 24th of last year. So about almost 5 months.
5 months dating. And how long engaged?
And then we got married in
Seven-ish
July, so
months,
about 7 months.
7 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is hot topic, because, every couple's timing is different. I wonder, what is the right timing to get married?
I think, being aligned and like you got to talk about like what your vision is and what God's moving in your heart, and then see if those things align. And then if they align, then you're good. Like we just talked a lot, and we spent long days together, because even when you were in school, I was still working and all the way up till December before we got engaged. And so I would drive down on the weekends for games, or I would just for different like things that you guys would do at the apartment. I literally would work all night, and then I would drive out here, and then while she went to classes, I'd like take a nap in her room, and then when she got back, then we'd go do something or whatever, and then I'd drive back and go to work, kind of thing. So especially when you hurt your ankle, like I drove back for a few days in a row during the week when I was working night shift and stuff, and just like work on her ankle and stuff, trying to get it healthy and everything. And so I think being able to spend a lot of time together, and talk about stuff, and actually like, I don't know, we didn't have to do too much digging, but just like, okay, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think about that? Like that, honestly, a lot of those kind of more surface level things that people avoid, like we got through that in the first 3 weeks of dating almost.
Well, and I think the biggest part was when Michael called me and he said, "You're somebody I could see myself spending the rest of my life with." Like from the before the beginning, he had like said, this is my intent with this like possible relationship. So it was like instead of dating and waiting to bring that up, like 6 months into dating, we had already figured that out. Like we were already on the same page. And so once we decided like, okay, like if this goes really well, like let's get married. It wasn't explicitly that, but kind of. It was like once we had kind of talked about stuff and like figured things out, and I was like, oh wow, this is a really great guy. Like it didn't take very long to be like, okay, like yeah, let's get married. But no, Michael had also talked about like I had a pretty gnarly ankle injury last year playing volleyball, and Michael was working up in Washington, and he was working night shift, so he would get done with work, and then he would go home for like 5 hours and sleep, and then he would drive down to Salem and work on my ankle with the creams, and just try to get a bunch of the swelling out, and just try to quicken the healing process. anyways, while he was doing that, I remember thinking, it's funny, my mom was like, she's like, I knew the day after you sprained your ankle that he was in love with you. But
Wow.
I don't know, just, I was like, who, like, even at that point, we'd only been dating a couple months. I was like, I don't even really know this person that well. And he's like driving 2 hours down to stay here for 3 hours while he's like sleeping on my couch because, you know, he didn't sleep for very long. And I just remember like looking at him and thinking like who is this person that is just like doing this for me? Like I didn't do anything for him. Like, anyways, and I think it was in the time when, in those days when he was coming down, where we'd really started talking talking about getting married. And at one point Michael was like, oh, I don't want to talk about this too early. And I was like, why? I was like, I know what I want.
What?
I don't know about you, but like I'm down to talk about this, like. So.
Yeah. Well, and I just, in past relationships, I talked about it too early, and it's like things didn't end up aligning, which is good, which I'm thankful for, but it's like I didn't want to, like, I don't know, I just didn't want to repeat the past kind of thing. And so it was, I set up the intention, but then it's like, okay, like once she's comfortable with that, then okay, let's jump into this and talk about these different things. So yeah, I think maybe I could have let a little bit more of that. I don't know. Yeah.
Sounds like the intentionality was very important for you guys' success in your relationship.
Yeah. No, and I guess back to your question, because we're just kind of telling our story instead of answering your question. But yeah, I mean, I think for people looking and thinking about getting married, I think resetting and having conversation about intention, like we avoid those things. Like, you got to ask yourself, why are we avoiding these different topics? It's like, they're probably important. You probably have to figure it out, and you're afraid that maybe it won't work out kind of thing. And so even in that initial phone call, I was like, you know what? Like, I think this person's amazing. I think, you know, she's beautiful. She's tall. She's amazing to be around. And I'm sure she's an amazing person. Her brothers all are awesome. You know, her parents are awesome. I've met all of them. I have, and
You'd met my whole family before you'd even met me.
yeah, and like, if she's not interested, I at least want to give her the respect of knowing what my intention is, so that she can make a decision, because I think she's smart enough and intelligent enough to make a decision on if she wants to pursue that kind of relationship with me as well. Instead of like hiding that and being like, okay, I can maybe trick them into liking me later. I was like, what? No, like, I admire this person. I enjoy time with this person in the small amount of time that I spent with them. And I want to give them all the information I can and set them up for success. And maybe it'll hurt me, but like, I'm fine. I'm strong. I'm doing my thing. Like, if she's not interested, then I respect that. And at least, like, I know she enjoyed some time that we spent together. So it's like, okay, like, at least a friendship. Like, okay, like, if I can't, you know, pursue that, then that's fine. But I think she's an awesome person to be around. So I just enjoy, you know, being a friend and having her along, you know, for the ride with some. But it's like, you know, she was interested. So then
I have another question. How, as a Christian couple, how do you guys integrate the Lord in your relationship? How does that look like?
Yeah, no, I think, you know, there's simple things that you can do, like praying and reading, and that's something that we worked on. I always, you know, growing up, my dad would read the Bible at night before we go to bed. We'd pray, we'd sing. You know, you go to Awana, you do these different things, and so, you know, I've thought about those different things, and then going to Corbin, you know, going to chapel and reading and praying. But really, I think, you know, it's just, there's a lot of different things you could do that are like those things, but then also doing some other things. So I guess I'll talk about that. But, you know, reading the Bible when we wake up in the morning, I'll start reading, and then we'll like read together and try and go back and forth. And it doesn't always happen, but it's like trying to get that consistent, and it's like making that second nature. You know, praying intentionally about specific things that we're trying to figure out, kind of thing. Or that it's like, okay, we're moving. Like, where should we go to move? Like, Lord, please provide for us. We trust you. Clients, looking at clients, praying about that. Praying about, volleyball and different things there. Or, hey, what should Ali be going toward? Like, should be going toward career? Should be going toward, teaching or doing media with me, or just what are the different things we can do? And just praying about those things together. And instead of separating and be like, okay, what do you want to do, Ali? And then Ali's like, oh, okay, I don't know. Like, I'll go figure it out, or I'll go talk to somebody else, and then they'll give me an idea, and then I'll go do it. And it's like, no, like, we're a team. Like, what can we do together? How can we figure this out together, kind of thing. So it's like, yes, read the Bible and pray together and sing and do those different things together, but then also, like, be aligned and have your focus be on living life together with the Lord, kind of thing. So, like, whatever you're doing, like, you pray about that together and ask the Lord for wisdom for both of your lives, for both of your way, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Mom's calling. I'll just pause that. I'll call you back, Mom. But yeah, I think that's kind of how we integrate it. And it's like, people talk about physical intimacy and stuff, but it's like, it's also emotional intimacy and intellectual intimacy, where you're sharing your thoughts and your emotions and the past frustrations and helping this person understand why you are the way you are, instead of holding back and be like, okay, well, they don't need to hear about this or that because, that's my problem. It's like, well, you do need to work on it, but you need to let them know so that they can not be hurt by you doing these different things that maybe to them might seem like, oh, you don't like them, but it's like, well, no, like, it's not your problem. Something's going on here and I need to let it go, but this is not about you, and I'm sorry that I'm making this seem like it's your problem, so I need to fix it, kind of thing. So there's like, yeah, doing those simple things that are reading the Bible, praying, that are daily things, and then also, like, on a broader scale, like emotional and intellectual intimacy, as well as physical intimacy and stuff, and pairing those all together. I think that, and bringing that to the Lord, doing that with the Lord, kind of thing. So not just like, oh, let's talk about what we think, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe we need to pray about this thing that is frustrating or that we're concerned about, or maybe it's like, hey, let's pray about this, kind of thing, instead of, oh, we're just going to talk about it. It's like, we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to pray about it and ask God to give us wisdom about it. So that's, I guess, kind of how we approach that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to finish this first video with you guys, we're hoping to have another one. I like to finish asking you guys, what are you guys thankful for in marriage? Like, what's something that you guys have learned? And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of times, I just want to give you the floor, then if you look back at me for a second, then like, okay, then I'll go. No, no, I'm just kidding.
I can go.
No, I was just saying that's what that look was.
Okay, I'll go. What am I thankful for? One thing, this is like sort of a surface level answer, but this is really what I'm thankful for. I don't like going places by myself.
Okay.
This is like the grocery store, or just like, I like people. I can be by myself. That's fine. I don't have a problem being by myself, but I like doing things with other people. It makes you make memories. You I don't know. You have those memories with other people instead of having just like something that you went and did by yourself. So even like all the photos we've taken, all the weddings we've shot, like we've done that together. And so having somebody to do like all of your life things with, instead of doing them by yourself, I think is really awesome. So
how about you, Michael?
That's pretty cool. I didn't know. That's good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think no, I don't know. It's just like, oh, that's really true. Because you guys, when it makes sense. Because like when your family gets when our family, when your parents and Casey and Justin and we all get together, you guys are always talking about like those different group moments that you have together. So I can see, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I think for me, you know, you grow up and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a wife one day, or whatever. And there was a reel going around, the trend where it's like a video where you're like, oh, I'm sad about this or that, and then it shows like your younger self, and they're like, oh, we have this or whatever. So it's like, oh, I'm sad that she's leaving or whatever, and it's like a younger me. It's like, wait, you found her? And it's like, well, like, yeah, I found the person that I always dreamed about marrying, and I'm like, like, that's the person that I was always like praying about and thinking about. And I was like, oh man, one day I'm gonna, have a wife. She's gonna have brown hair, she's gonna be tall, she's gonna be athletic, she's gonna be funny. And
I don't know about that.
it's just pretty funny. But and sometimes we're just like hanging out or whatever. And we're like, who let us do this? You say that a lot. And it's like, yeah, like who let us be together? And it's like, wow, like God knew who we were gonna marry. God planned this crazy amount of things that had to happen for this to align. Like, she could have not come to that photo shoot. We could have not done the photo shoot, in Portland. I could have just canceled the photo shoot in Portland, and then, or I could have just not been watching those videos and been like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna like keep doing photo shoots with her, and then maybe she would have been like, oh, this guy's lame. He's not talking. He's just like stringing me on or whatever. I don't know. I don't. That's not who she is. But, so I think just thankful that, get to be together and get to build a life together. And I think, there's not like a lot of like, oh, we gotta, like, I don't know, I guess, I want to build big things and everything, and I want to have a big company and a big team and everything, but it's like, even if none of that happened, like, I have everything I need. So I could work this, and, Lord willing, I can make enough money so we can pay rent and eat food, and then, one day be able to take care of kids and other things like that. But like that's enough for me. Like, I'm thankful for the people in my life, the person in my life. Like, wow, that's crazy. So
and along with kind of what I was saying about like having that person to go and do these things with, it's also like you have a whole another person to like figure out stuff with. Like, I don't know, Michael was talking about like, oh, like what are we gonna go towards? We're looking to like move right now, like he was saying, and it's like, okay, I don't have to figure out all of this on my own. Like, I have Michael to also talk to about and like bounce ideas off of. So yeah, I don't know, just being able to not having the pressure of like trying to figure everything out on your own, and even people that are by themselves, like they have, like, you have the Lord also to like get things through with. But it's I don't know, it's been fun.
Well, and it's like somebody that will actually work on figuring stuff out with you, because you could marry somebody or be in a relationship or be friends with somebody who is hard to work with and hard to figure things out with. And so it's like, oh, I have someone that I can actually figure stuff out with and actually, talk to, and not like go off the directions, because like, I can't, you're so, I don't know, like it just works well. So I'm like, I don't have any examples, I guess, because I don't know.
You also have a whole nother family. That is one thing that has been so much fun. Like, Michael's family's great, so there's just been like a whole new set of relationships to be formed, and like,
the Taos are pretty cool too, so they're pretty amazing.
Yeah, they are cool. And the Smith too. So I'm very thankful to be friends with you guys and your family. So, well, thank you so much for coming today. We're hoping to have you another time, and thank you for sharing some of your relationship and how the Lord is working with you guys. Yeah. We'll see you next time on Stories with Richi.
Stories with Richi. Keep watching. Watch all the reels. Go like them.